Hello, my name is Samuel Campbell, and I'm going to be showing you how to draw on isometric graph paper. So first off, we're going to start off by answering the question, what is isometric drawing? Well, the term isometric is defined as, and this is per Google, of or having equal dimensions, basically just having dimensions and being able, having dimensions that is more than 2, which would be x and y. In other words, here we are basically adding depth. This is done on isometric graph paper. This is really nothing too fancy. Off to the right, as you can see, this is a very weird looking graph. Don't worry, we'll get into the specifics of that, but really, this is what you'll be looking at for most of the time that you'll be using it. What this allows you to do is create very accurate 3D drawings and be able to accurately portray any thoughts or ideas. So the positive benefits to being able to use isometric graph paper is that you'll be able to make better drawings and communicate drawings and ideas better and more efficiently. This is really good in a team-orientated and design task or design-heavy task or environment. So first off, how this works. So as you can see over here, we have the small thin red line. This is going to be our x-axis, our left to right. Over here by the yellow, we have the y-axis. This is our up and down. Now this is where we add in that isometric portion of the graph paper. This is going to be our z-axis, our depth, our forward and back. All these combined together on this particular form of a graph paper will allow us to create 3D drawings. Now, as you can see over here for the last bit, we have our scale. For this in particular, for our example, is 1 unit, which is 1 length. As you can see on the z-axis, it's this line right here. On the x-axis, it's this right here. And on the y-axis, it's just going to go straight up and down. I know it looks a little weird, but it's easy to get used to. Yeah, as you can see, each one 3 inches because it all goes 3 units. The best part about having your own graph paper is that you can choose what you want the scale to be. If you want 2 units to be able to be 1 inch, if that works for you, that works for you. So here we're going to have a live example. Alright, so off to the left side here, you'll see a nice little brown hunk of wood. That is part of a puzzle cube that I made back in high school. Each one of these cubes is approximately 1 inch cubed. And as you can see off to the right, I have attempted to try to draw it. Now, as you can see, now, as I said, everything is made out of 1 inch cubes. The part is completely accurately sketched out as per the original designs, with the scale being 3 units is 1 inch. Now, quickly, some things that I do want to point out is that right around here, as you can see, we have one small little line in the middle of that. The reason why that is there is so it can actually define the edge at which that top cube conjoins with the bottom portion. If that was not there, then the design would look really, really funky, and anybody who looks remotely close at designs would know that's not a good thing if it's really wonky. Another thing I do want to point out is right next to it, right here, as you can see on the picture, right around there, we have 2 cubes conjoining together. Now, on the actual part, while that may seem like it's supposed to be the way it is, in reality, it's not. Yeah, as you can see, the whole thing was designed to be one big piece, but as for how I put it together, now it just looks sort of wonky. The last thing I do want to point out is another line that you should never add is hidden lines. As you can see just across from our first defining line here, we do have where would be the line for the other side of this top cube. You don't add in hidden lines because you don't want to confuse whoever's looking at the object. You would save those hidden lines for 2D sketches that go more into detail of how everything is supposed to be laid out. So again, real quick things to remember. No matter what, it will always look like the objects. You'll never show any hidden lines. Like, for example, if you look off to the right, I drew a nice little cube. You cannot see those hidden edges in the back. You only see from one direction. That being said, it also maintains a constant perspective. That's one thing I really like about isometric graph paper is that if you're somebody like me who's not very good at artsy sort of stuff, you try to do one perspective and you somehow manage to shift over to a different perspective and it just looks really weird. This really does help. It helps you give you sort of a sense of direction. So now to wrap it all up, I already told you everything that you sort of need to remember and how you can use isometric graph paper and how to draw in an isometric form. This is really essential for basically, as I said earlier, any kind of design-based or team-oriented job.